Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Saturday, y'all. Welcome to the Success Code Fireside Chat. I'm your hostess, Lorna. And I'm super excited to be here today because I'm above ground, y'all. How many people didn't wake up this morning? Be grateful. Yes. So we always start the show with what happened this week. Well, let me tell you, not only am I excited for my guest today, I'm still in a 3-day event. After this, I go back in, and it's a 3-day event with my peers, and my peers are teaching and showing and interacting and collaborating. And if you know me, you know that connection is my jam, collaboration is my jam. So I am in heaven. So this week has been a great week, but most importantly, I want you all to remember every day above ground is a day to be grateful. And it's not just to be grateful for what is, but it's also to be in gratitude of what is coming. Yes, what is coming. I think most of us forget that part of it. And I want to start the show by saying, be in gratitude. Yeah? Can I get a yes? All right. So today we have an amazing human being on the show, and her name is Tamika Brunetti. And I met Tamika as a part of another, I don't want to call it networking, but I'm going to call it networking for now. Networking platform called the Dames. And we are both members of the Dames North Dallas. So shout out to the Dames North Dallas. It's an amazing group of female entrepreneurs who are just, I mean, it's an incredible group. And the synergy that's in that group, I truly appreciate, and that I'm truly grateful for. So, and one of the things that came out of it was me and Tamika connecting, the smile, the energy, and then she's brilliant at LinkedIn, and she's actually been named, I think it's the number three worldwide LinkedIn expert. Yes. So
I'm in the top
y'all,
five.
top five, top three, you're heading there. Go, right? So I've never met anybody who's been named top five in LinkedIn. So girl, that tells me that you are a master at your craft. And I'm gonna let you tell the story about how you got there. But I want to introduce you as a person who knows what's happening in LinkedIn. I think a lot of entrepreneurs and even business owners and people who are employed by corporate are not maximizing, like myself, not maximizing the opportunity on LinkedIn to generate business, right? So, without further ado, I want to introduce Tamika Brunetti. Welcome to the Success Gold Fireside Chat, my friend.
Hello, happy morning, happy Saturday morning, and I'm very grateful to be here. And as you said, to be above ground. So yes, it is a good day.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
So, Tamika, I always start out the show by asking my guests, what does success mean to you?
So success means to me the ability to be able to do whatever it is I want when I want without worrying about what is going to impact financially. Just being able to live the life I want to live and my family wants to live. That's success.
Wow, that's powerful. That's what I heard was autonomy.
Mhm.
That's what I heard when you said that.
Mhm.
And I think that's what most people want, right? Autonomy and freedom. That's beautiful. It's powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, you're
So go
welcome.
ahead and tell us, huh? Did you have something else?
No, I was just saying you're welcome.
Yeah. All right, go ahead and tell us a little bit more about, because I know you as the LinkedIn guru, right? And I hope that you have. Did you bring any of this digitally so I could put it on?
I can get you one. Yes.
Get me the digital swag. Get me some
Yes.
digital. Isn't that cute, y'all? I thought this was so cute. Anyway, so let's talk about how you got to where you are right now. I know it's been a journey, and I'm sure that the audience would love to hear a little bit about that journey and what it took for you to get to where you are.
Okay. So I've been on LinkedIn since April 16th, 2006. I know the exact date because I get that happy LinkedIn versary email every year. So 19 years. I would like a
Hmm.
t-shirt, but
Wow.
but
Wow.
but just like everybody else, I was using it as a place to store my resume when I was looking for another opportunity, right? So fast forward to probably say about 2013 or so, I got access to Sales Navigator from a former employer. Again, just using it like most people use it as a search engine, right? Fast forward a little further on to 2018, I quit my job after 13 years without a plan. And I, at that point, realized, oh, who is Tamika if I don't have big company attached to my name, right? And so at that point, I decided I need to really figure out who Tamika is and how she's going to show up, and especially in the digital environment, right? And so that's when I really started getting into it. I was volunteering for organizations, being their digital marketing manager, handling their LinkedIn. People were reaching out and asking me to update their profiles and do all these things, and they were just paying me. I wasn't putting it out there, they were coming to me. So I was just like, huh, okay. Well, then the next job I got, I was the program manager for this one company's LinkedIn Sales Navigator program, and they had 3,500 licenses globally. So I got the opportunity to really work with LinkedIn folks and get in the trenches, get in the details. And I was on it all day, every day, like all day, every day. But I was getting paid to be on it all day, every day, right? And so training people, coming up with strategies and all the things. And after I left that role, it has stayed as a part of who I am. And then unlike or like many people in the last year or two, I was hit by the layoff last year. And my husband, bless him, he said, why don't you turn your side hustle into a full time business? I knew I married him for a reason. And that's what I did. So I've been in the LinkedIn world for years, but formally as a business. Um,
Hmm.
Year, and so it's been great, and that's how I got to where I am right now, and I'm loving it.
Wow. Wow. What a beautiful journey. There's so much that you said. The one thing that stands out for me is how your husband said, why don't you turn your side hustle into a business? So many times we go into business and we think it's supposed to be this thing, or we think that we're supposed to work for the rest of our lives. Like when I came into real estate, when I came into, even when came into coaching, both of it was like, oh, what are we doing? Right? Because it wasn't even this thing. You know how that's a myth too, right? Like the one of the myth is that we get to work, we go to school, we get a job, and we get to work until we get to work in that job until retirement, and they give you the pen or the
Not the
watch,
pen.
right?
Yep.
Not realizing that God has put so much inside of you that it gets to be unleashed somehow. You just brought that out, girl. So this is the real talk we do on this show. We don't do any fluff stuff. So if you're looking for fluff, you're gonna get strategy. But if you're looking for fluff, we're not doing that. We're gonna call you for it, right? So maybe this is the conversation that you get to step into a business. So by the way, I want to welcome all the people who are live with us here on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. Welcome. Feel free to interact, put in comments, ask questions. This is not a stoic show. This is a free flow show. We want to hear your questions and we want to hear the myths that you have that you want to debunk. And we're here to do that for you. So, Tamika, now that you're in it, right? What are some of the things that you've seen or heard because you've been in there so long and you've transitioned over a period of time, seeing different things happen on LinkedIn in terms of business, right?
Mhm.
What are some of the myths? Let's think about maybe 3 to 5 myths that we can come up with that has come across your desk, come across your space over the years that that people are still sitting in that they need to shift in themselves or their business so that they can be profitable, number one, and be sustainable, number two, and have longevity, number three?
All right. So the first thing that comes to mind is that LinkedIn is still the same platform it was when it launched in 2003. That is so far removed, right? If you think about it, in 2020, right before the pandemic and everything, LinkedIn had about 500 million members. That's a lot of people, right? Worldwide, 200 countries and territories around the world. But it took them, what, 17 years to get to 500 million? We're at 2025, 5 years later, and they now have over 1.2 billion. So they have more than doubled in 5 years because the world is changing so fast.
Mm-hmm.
So why should LinkedIn be the same platform that it was in 2003 when the world has changed so fast? Like, you
Yeah.
need to get involved, get on the bus so that you can reap the benefits that you could potentially have while being on this platform. It's not, yes, it is definitely the place to be to connect with recruiters, hiring managers, and all the things related to your job search. But there's so much more to it. I mean, if you are out there and your goal is to be positioned as a thought leader, you can do that. If you need to rebrand yourself because, you know what, I'm no longer going to be doing expatriate taxes. That's what I used to do. Um, you can do that. Heck, you can rebrand yourself every other week if you want to, but you have that ability. You don't need permission to do things. Yeah, they have their, the membership agreement, the things that you can't do. So please do follow those. But for the most part, you can be as creative as you want on LinkedIn, and people don't realize that.
I'm going to jump in here and kind of speak into that, because I'm one of those people who I know for a fact that I don't use LinkedIn as much as is available to me. And when I was launching my live event in June, I engaged one of my collaborative partners, JV Directory, to support me with filling the room, getting people into my masterclass so that I could bring people to my event. When he taught me it was just two little things, Tamika, two little things he taught me on LinkedIn. I'm like, oh, hold on a minute, you could do that on LinkedIn?
Yes.
Right? So, I'm just reiterating what you're saying, because I didn't know that LinkedIn was so versatile. And now, even now, doing LinkedIn lives and all that stuff, I didn't know that that was available on LinkedIn, because I thought that it was so restrictive.
Mm-hmm.
So, can you give us, like, as a coach, a service provider, a business owner, can you give us, like, three of the top things that you think we should be doing on there that we're probably not doing and that would be really beneficial for our business?
Yeah. I would suggest that anybody who's a business owner or in the space of generating revenue, right? You definitely have to show up on LinkedIn. And I mean,
How though? Don't just say show up, because I want,
oh
yeah.
yes. So people always talk about their profile. There's more to it than your profile. That's your foundation. But when I say show up, I mean post something and comment. That's showing up. You think about it. We live on a planet that has 8 to 9, maybe 10 billion people, depending on who you ask. And how are they supposed to know that you exist if you don't say anything? Right? So you
Hmm.
have to show up. You have to contribute to this ecosystem that LinkedIn has become, right? So
Hmm.
number one is show up, post, comment. Number two, embrace video.
Mm.
Gosh, I mean, people, they want to know who you are, or it's a marketing thing. Know, like, trust, right? They got to know who you are in order to like you, in order to trust you. So if they
Hmm.
can hear your voice, I mean, for instance, you're from Jamaica, right?
Yeah.
Well, I met a gentleman on LinkedIn back in 2020 in the comments. We were going back and forth on someone else's post. And then I sent him a connection request. And then he, accepted it. And we kept going back and forth. And then my last question to him, he responded to me with a video answering my question.
We.
And at that moment, I heard the thickest Trinidadian accent I had ever heard. He was full of life, and it was just this instant connection. Like, I will never forget Jared. And if me and my husband ever make it to Trinidad, you better believe I'm reaching out to Jared. So, to give us some insights on the island. But there was that connection because video, it was in a message. Also, you can post video, but I heard his voice. And it was something
Yeah.
about that excitement in his voice,
Yeah. Yeah.
So video would be next. And thirdly, I know people don't like to write, but you've got tools out there like Chat
Chat
GPT.
GPT.
LinkedIn has AI built into it. Write an article. You can get published on LinkedIn,
Oh. Ooh.
right?
Say
And think
more.
about it.
Say more. Say more. Say more.
But think about an article, right? Well, for one
Mhm.
thing, LinkedIn is highly indexed on Google, right?
Mm.
Have you ever noticed when you search someone on Google, 9 times out of 10, well, I don't know, 9 times out of 10, but most of the time, their LinkedIn profile comes up first?
Mhm.
It's because of the trust and security measures LinkedIn has in play, as well as their SEO, right? And so if you were to publish an article on LinkedIn and someone was to do a keyword search, they could possibly come up with your article as one of their references. Why wouldn't you do that?
They don't know.
Well, and it's not hard. It's not that you have to write a 5,000 word article or anything like that. I've seen articles that are 2, 3 short paragraphs, but
So
it
hold
was
on. So,
their thought.
yeah. So I want to expand on that a little bit just so people understand what's the
Mhm.
difference between an article and a post? Because you just said an article could be
Okay.
three sentences. Uh-huh.
So, okay, there's actually a couple of things. So, you've got a post. That's where when you're on the home screen, you've got that little bar and it says,
Mhm.
put your post in so you can type whatever. But there's also, I believe there's an icon that says write an article. If you click on the article, then you will
Mm.
you will have the ability to do that. But then if you want to get snazzy with it, you can set up a newsletter. If you want to do a weekly newsletter, a bi-weekly, a monthly, I would say do it to where you can actually commit to it. Don't say you're going to do every other day. Um, but you can progress your writing
Mhm.
into these different platforms that they have or modules that they have available.
Mhm. Okay.
So yeah.
So I'm getting deep into this because all the stuff you're talking about, I'm going to implement too. So no, seriously. So because if the search engine optimization is available without doing the Google thing, then that's a huge thing, right? Because the Google has that ability. Our friend Amanda, she's always talking about, get Google search, like do the
Hmm.
thing to get Google search. Well, if LinkedIn is going to help you to do that, that's a great thing to do. And it sounds pretty simple. It was just a matter of clicking on the thing and then writing the article and then just going through. By the way, just a quick 1 minute chat. When you write your articles with Chat GPT, make sure you're putting in garbage in, garbage out, right? So make sure you're putting in the information that you want Chat GPT to write. You write the information, but it can be sloppy, and then tell Chat GPT to rewrite it and tweak it, and then go and tweak it again to make sure it's your voice, your tone, and all the things. Just a quick note.
Agreed.
So, Tamika, what else is available on chat on not chat GPT on LinkedIn that most people don't know about that can shift their business? Because I think that one of the things, and the reason why I'm asking you that is again because of the event that I did, right? Um, I got so many connections from reach outs. So what is your take on direct reach outs in chat GPT? And what I learned was something about, and I would love you to like expand on it, how to choose connections. Like if somebody didn't connect with you, or you don't know somebody from the past sphere of influence, and you're building, and let's say you have an event and you want people to come to the event, how do you do your reach outs on chat on LinkedIn?
Okay. So, first of all, when it comes to those connections for your events, if you're going to have one that is local to wherever you are, I would suggest that where it says, oh, well, first of all, create an event on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
Okay. So you can create an event page. And then when it's time to invite people, you can actually select the location. So if you're like me in the Dallas Fort Worth area, I just want the Dallas Fort Worth people that are I'm connected to. And then I will, use other filters to determine maybe it's a company that they all work at that I used to work at, or an industry that I'm targeting. I would use those filters to narrow it down to those who I want to invite. So take advantage of the filters. Don't just blast it out to everybody. But then there are people who are outside of your local area that you might want to reach out to as well. And I would do that with those who you actually have talked to in like the last year or two, not way back in the day,
Hmm.
right?
Way back. Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then the one thing that you were asking, what is one thing that most people don't know about that they should be using? There's a feature in there called polls, like polling questions, POLL. I mean, I don't know how I can talk about this till I'm blue in the face. I've told many of people that those polling questions are the are such it's an easy lead generator. So easy. Because if you ask a question, you can put up to four choices for an answer. Every time someone answers a question, you're able to see who they are. You are able to see if they're a first degree connection, a second degree connection, or a third degree connection. Why wouldn't you thank everybody separately in a message? Hey, every time someone answers, thank you for participating in my poll. And if they say you were talking about your event coming up,
Hmm.
and you're asking people, are you ready to take your business to the next level? We'll just say that's the question. It's either yes, no, or maybe. Your
Hmm.
yes people, they have just now told you that they need to know more. So you can say, thank you for participating in my poll. I'm going to be doing this event. Is this something of interest to you? Or ask them what they're looking for in an event, if you're still in that phase where you're trying to develop the agenda and figure out who your speakers are, right?
Hmm.
And if
Hmm.
they say maybe, well, what do you mean maybe? What would be holding you back from taking it to the next level? I mean, you easily start conversations that way. So easy, and not a lot of people do it.
Yeah, and so that's why I brought you on here, because I don't think it's that they don't want to do it. I think it's that it's a lack of knowledge, right? Because I didn't realize, and I was one of those people, right? Until my event, because I learned a lot of things, and I've been on LinkedIn forever, right? And I had two profiles: my real estate profile and my coaching profile. And so when this guy was teaching me about first, second, and third levels of connections, I'm like, what does that mean? I don't understand what that means, right? But he had to show me how you could get to um other, like if you had a first connection and you said something, you could get to the second and third connection that could probably be your client, right? So I think that a lot of people are not doing it because they don't know. So I'm gonna stretch you to get on some stages, girl, more stages, because people need to know. No, seriously, because there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? And if you're swimming in the the Red Sea, right? You can't move because everybody else is in the Red Sea trying to do the same thing. So you got to find a blue ocean. Well, LinkedIn is the blue ocean that is so available and so abundant, but nobody's there because they just don't know. So, um, yeah, I love that. Love what you're saying. All right. I want to jump back to profiles because I think the profile on LinkedIn is the what's the word I'm looking for? Is the door. The profile is like the visibility entrance, right? To someone's business. So how would, in your opinion, how would people, or how could people make their profiles more magnetic, so that could, and so it's two questions, two-part question. How can they make it more magnetic? Number one, and is the profile part of the search engine of your page? Does that make sense? Did I land my
So
question?
how to make your profile magnetic, and is it part of the SEO?
SEO, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So first and foremost, think of your profile as your business card.
Hmm.
Okay. So your business card has all the highlights, the things that people need to know about you to get in contact with you. So with LinkedIn, they have given you a set amount of modules to complete. And they've actually broken it down. I believe it goes by core, recommended, and additional, or something like that. So definitely you got to put in content wherever it's listed as a core module, and then do all the recommended, and then do all the additional. So just do it all. And I say that because that gives you so much more opportunity to showcase who you are, what you do, and what value you bring, right? If you are to just have, and we're going to talk about offline, you and I, about you having these two profiles. We're going to talk about that. But if you could just show up concisely and in a way that people will remember you by utilizing every single module they have available, you're going to make yourself a lot more magnetic than anyone else. And then in terms of like the CEO or SEO optimization, you want to put in the keywords that people are searching. You can sprinkle that throughout. If you limit yourself to the core, you've just missed out on the recommended and the additional, where you could be putting in keywords that will help with that SEO and help you come up in people's search results. Right? So your profile, consider it to be, I used to tell all my sellers when I was working at that one company, make it a mini website.
Okay.
So again, now these people were, working for a company, but this can work for an entrepreneur, business owner. If you've got a website, right? But you're making your LinkedIn profile a mini website. The thought process there is, people, okay, we're lazy and we get distracted very quickly, right? Like my thought process here. but but if you are lucky enough to have someone come onto your LinkedIn profile and spend some time with you, because it's all about dwell time, DWELL, how long someone stays with you, hangs out with you. So if they saw your banner, they like that, they saw your headline, they're like, ooh, right? And then they keep going. That's great. But then they get to your about section and they read about what it is that you do. Now they're intrigued. But what do they do to learn more? Most people will say, go to my website. Well, heck, put that information there. Put your call to
Yeah.
action on your profile, so they have the information they need right there. Capture them in the moment, or convert them in the moment. Why send them somewhere else where they're going to get distracted because the ring doorbell's going to go off, Barkley's going to start barking, and they're going to forget to go to your website? I'm just saying.
Yeah, well,
It
you're
happens.
right. Listen, it's truth, right? Again, we're doing some real talk over here. So I know that we have other people in the studio and online with us. If you want to ask questions, now is the time for you to jump in, so that we can answer your questions so that you leave here with some actionable items. I'm making notes like crazy over here, and you heard what she said, right? Did you see how she said that? She said, "Oh, by the way, we're gonna get together on those two profiles you have." I heard you loud and clear, girl. So
Love it.
feel free to drop your questions in so that we can answer them. Um, so let me ask you a question for because both of us we deal mostly with entrepreneurs, but I want to make sure that we support everybody in this conversation today because I know that there are people out there who are in corporate America because a lot of LinkedIn is corporate, right? A lot. I would, and by the way, do you have any idea what the percentage is, corporate versus entrepreneurship in LinkedIn?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. And I say it's interesting because you got so many people who are in corporate that have a side hustle that wouldn't
Mhm.
necessarily, I don't know if that how that would skew the numbers.
Oh, okay, okay. I see what you mean. Okay.
But that would be interesting to know. How many
Yeah,
people have both versus one or the other?
one or the other. That would be a great that's data, right? That's data for
Yeah.
us as entrepreneurs and as we use LinkedIn as this powerful search engine to be found and to get data on what people need,
Mhm.
depending on where they're at. Right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
I'm a business strategist, y'all. Y'all know that if you've been not following me. So you know how my brain works.
Mhm.
My brain's gonna go to the how do we bring people to us? How do we become magnetic? Which is why I'm asking her the question, right? So uh as a budding entrepreneur, even if you have a side hustle, like what is the best way you would say to shift uh, from corporate to entrepreneurship on LinkedIn? Like how would you recommend something a transition like that for someone who is thinking about leaving corporate and jumping into entrepreneurship? And how does it change in their I guess it's more of a branding question, but because it's on LinkedIn, which is why I'm asking you, how would you make that transition from corporate to entrepreneurship on LinkedIn?
Okay. And this kind of goes along with our side conversation we need to have. So just know that. I
Uh-huh.
would I would suggest that anyone that's in corporate America, you start posting for yourself. For
What does that
yourself.
mean?
Posting for yourself as your own brand. Like, remember when I told you I left that company after 13 years with no
Mhm,
plan and it was no longer Tamika and I'll just say EY. Now it was
mhm,
just Tamika. Well, if I would have started a couple of years before that, just being Tamika, and every once in a while throwing EY in there, I wouldn't have had these issues with who am I, right? So if you're already in corporate and you got your side hustle or you're thinking about making that move over into the world of entrepreneurship, start showing up with your own brand now. That's the best thing you can do for yourself. Now, the
yeah,
company that you work for, they are going to benefit from you showing up as yourself either way, right? Because you will likely have in your experience that you work for XYZ company. So anytime you post things or you decide that you want to post something about that company, it's going to get more traction, right? So
mhm,
focus
mhm.
on you. Focus on what you bring to the table, what your superpower is, and start sharing that type of content. And again, sprinkle in the company every once in a while.
Yeah. Um, I love that you said that. What's coming up for me to be clear for people, because I think it's a huge misconception. Remember, we're on the Success Code Fireside Chats where we debunk the success myths that you've been taught. Here's one. There's a misconception about branding that says Brandon is everything else except you. So what you just brought back to the forefront is you are your brand. Whether you're an entrepreneur or you're in corporate America, you are your brand. That's one of the things that I figured out years ago when I started in real estate. Although I was in Prudential Rand Realty, I marketed me. When I was in Keller Williams, I marketed me. So by the time I got to Success Power Brokers, that's my company. They already know me. So when I went to compete with, um, if I went on a listening appointment at Success Power Brokers, Lorna Sherland, and I went to compete with a Keller Williams agent, I'm gonna win. You know why? Because the people are buying me. They're not buying. So if you're a realtor out there, make sure you're hearing this. This is gonna double your business quick. You're not marketing and branding Keller Williams. You market and brand yourself. Right. So I'm glad you brought that up because it's a huge, huge misconception in the business arena that and believe me, I was a victim of that too because in corporate America, I came up in advertising. What do? We only talk about Procter and Gamble, which was one of our clients, M&M Mars, which was one of our clients. We're always talking about outside of us as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to branding ourselves as the genius that we are, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you take nothing else from this conversation, that's a writer downer. That is a writer downer, right? So
Mm-hmm.
ah, I have a really good question for you
Okay.
because I want to hear the story because I don't think
Uh-oh.
we've told enough stories on the show yet. Um, can you think of a time when just one little tweak on your LinkedIn profile made such a huge difference that it caused income and impact in your business? Can you think of one? I know I'm kind of throwing you off on this question, but I know you have one.
Well, yes, I do have one. So when I was that program manager, anytime that I would share with the sales professionals or customer success professionals things they needed to do on LinkedIn or Sales Navigator, I always did it first, right? Because if I'm going to ask you to do it, you need to see that I've done it,
Right.
right? And so at one point I was telling them about uh, just being much more consistent, picking a couple of days to post. You know, there's 3 days that are really good days to post content during the week, and those are Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Tuesday. So Wednesday, Thursday,
Okay, nugget, y'all. Nugget. Say that again.
Wednesday, Thursday, then Tuesday.
Okay.
So those are good days. Mondays and Fridays. You Monday's Monday, and then Friday you already in the Saturday. So so just keep it like that. And
Right.
so one of the things I did was I was very vigilant about my consistency and how I was showing up. Just from that one behavior, I got a random message from an organization I had never heard of, and they asked me if I would record a webinar about the top 10 social media platforms out there. Why me? Because she liked my vibe. She liked my content. I don't know,
And
maybe
your
she liked my
consistency.
style. Well, that
Mm-hmm.
too, right? And so I did. I mean, anybody could have done that,
Mm-hmm.
and I got paid for it, like real coins, like in the bank.
We said real coins, not fake ones. That's funny.
Yes, and after that, after I did that webinar, I got paid for recording a 45-minute video. Then, like a few weeks later, they reached out and wanted me to be a speaker in one of their sessions at their conference, where they paid me
Paid you.
and they paid for my flight and my hotel. Like I was out nothing.
I'm counting how much. No, seriously, I'm counting how many times you got paid from that one thing. That's crazy.
Just
I
for
want
posting regularly.
I want people to hear this because it wasn't from the consistency, but on the other side, right? You got paid so many times from the one lead. I think people miss that part.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
that's amazing. That is amazing. Wow, 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 wow. So,
yeah.
do you still have that client? I'm just curious.
No,
Sure,
I've switched roles, so I don't really target that
that
particular
category.
area anymore.
Okay,
Because I was a chief of staff at that time,
okay.
and I had went from program manager to chief of staff, and so they were very interested in that role, what I was doing,
Oh,
and
okay,
how it
okay.
plays with social media.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you the question about visibility. I know we
Mm.
talked about it to death, but what else do you have to say about being visible on social media? What else um is probably getting in their way, and how to overcome it, to be visible, to be searchable, to be, because you can, we can give them all the tactics, but is there anything that you think is would get in the way of them doing the things that we have shared here? Because you've given it a lot of nuggets, y'all. If you, uh, I see Marianne in the on the in the audience. Marianne, can you put it in the chat? Are you getting a ton of value from here? Because this is a lot. This is a whole training that we've just completed.
Oh.
Yeah, and Marianne, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Marianne is saying yes, she's getting a ton of value, because
Okay.
this, I think that one of the things we get to do, Tamika, is do a LinkedIn workshop, because I think that we've skimmed the surface. And I don't know if you have any of maybe evergreen or anything like that that we can attach to this recording when we post it out, because I think that this would be valuable for a lot of people, because we covered a lot of things here that I'm sure people aren't doing. I know I'm not doing all of them. Like I said. And by the way, so let me also preface this too, right? And I want to hear your thoughts on this. Sometimes when we hear, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, as service providers, we hear the things that can help us to improve, right? To get more clients, to create more impact. And some of you, I know, will go into the conversation of overwhelm. And I'll tell you, if you've been in my space, I'm going to tell you overwhelm is a story, because you can leverage all the things that we just shared. Leverage. A new word for you, maybe, but I'm going to tell you to let it be your best friend, right? Because even if you don't have a ton of money, if you're moving from corporate into entrepreneurship, you're gonna want to hold on to your coins and let it stretch. You can create relationships to support building the business and leverage out the stuff that you don't like to do. I.e., I'm not saying she's gonna work for you and not get paid, but Tamika can work with you to figure out how can you um how can you leverage and get the things done so that you can make the money, so
Mhm.
that you can, because money is just function of value, right? If your LinkedIn profile is adding value to people, then they're gonna come. They're gonna ask for your services, just like you heard they did with her. She was consistent. Because she was consistent, they called her to do stuff, and because they called her to do stuff, she was able to give them a price. I'm sure she gave them a whopping price to do things they asked for. Am I right, Tamika? What do you have to say about that?
Oh, it's absolutely true. You by showing up, you never know who's going to see your content. But the thing is, a lot of people will argue, oh, but I don't have anything new to say. Everyone else is saying it. But the way you say it is right for certain people and doesn't resonate with others. So there's a group of people out there who need to hear it from you because of the way you communicate it, right? Because you
Yeah.
can be at a meeting and someone can say, I don't know, they can talk about the sky being blue, but they're throwing out, I don't know, 12, 14 letter words and they're in a monologue, and at the end of the day all they were saying is the sky is blue. But then it's your turn and you say, well, the sky is really blue today. You know what? I got that.
Clear.
She's for me. I don't need someone who's gonna get on a monologue and pontificate about the sky being blue. What are we doing here? Right? Sorry.
No, don't be sorry, because it's so true. I'll give you a quick story, right? Because
Okay.
the real talk, y'all. If y'all don't want to hear real talk, just don't come to the show. Okay. So yesterday I'm on I told you when I came on the show, I said I'm on this 3-day event. So last night I had an opportunity to ask a question of the experts. So as I come up to ask the question, I tell people who I am. I literally gave my introduction in less than 30 seconds. One of the guys on the panel, he goes, no, 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 don't ask a question yet. Stop, because I had to tell you this. You came up here, you told me what you did, you told me who you served, and you were done. Because most of the people who came in to ask questions, they spoke for 5 minutes before they asked the question.
Oh, yes.
It's a speaking thing. If y'all want to learn how to speak, you reach out to us. We've done it enough times, but it's a thing, right? You got to have a 30-second thing. You gotta have a 1 minute thing. You gotta have a 5 minute thing. It's a process, so you gotta read the room, y'all. You gotta read the room. Okay.
But
Anyway,
more importantly, when it comes to reading a room, you got to follow instructions.
back to
So if they say, tell us your name, where you live, what you do, and your question, that's all we need to know. We don't need to know, well, Barkley, he was having a hard time this morning, and so I had to put him in his crate. Nobody needs to know that. We only have so much time.
yeah. It's a practice. It's a practice,
Yes.
which is why you get on more stages, you get practice, and then it comes.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, oh, I know. We almost close to the end of the show.
Oh,
Yes, we have so much fun on the show. The time runs out, and then okay, we gotta shut up. Okay, all right, Tamika.
yes.
What is the one most important thing that you want to share with the audience today? That whether they're listening here, like Marion is, Marion, you're the only person I can see because I can't see the other platforms that we're on my screen. So that's why I keep using your name, and I'm giving you props, girl. I'm giving you visibility, girl. So what the one thing that anybody who's here live on any of the platforms, or if they're listening on the replay, what is the one thing you want them to get into action with right now on LinkedIn?
The one thing I want people to get into on LinkedIn is posting thoughtful or meaningful comments. Stop with the great, thanks. No, let's use your words because I know you got them. Right? I know I have moments where I just say, "Oh, that's great, congratulations." But but when I'm really focused, I can start using and Marion's guilty.
Very
I can
guilty.
you can start having those conversations like that example I gave about Jared with from Trinidad, right? We had a whole conversation. Think of the comments as your public hallway. You're in the hallway, a public digital hallway. You're in the hallway and you see someone's comment and you're like, "Hey, let's talk." And you start really having a conversation in the comments. Ask questions. They may or may not come back, but at least you did it. Don't just say thanks.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm guilty sometimes, but I tend to
Oh, me
engage
too.
with people. Yeah,
Me too. And can I throw one more out?
absolutely.
Okay.
Generosity is my game, girl. Let's go.
So people always talk about they don't have time. I don't have
Mm,
time to be on LinkedIn. I don't have time to do this, that, or the other. You have time when it's something you want to do. So
mm,
if LinkedIn is something that you want to do, you will find the time. And let me give you some examples of time that can be found. Okay. I went to get my annual exam yesterday. And because my doctor is very efficient, you pull up and you text when you arrive. And then they text you when it's time to go to the room that you need to go to. I don't have to talk to anybody. But in that 5-7 minutes I was sitting there, I could have been commenting thoughtfully, right?
mm.
If you live in Texas and you have a hankering for a Whataburger, they are notoriously slow, but it is worth it. While you're in that drive-through line, or they tell you to go over to the B lane, comment. You got time. Those are the easiest times to
Yeah,
comment.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
sorry.
And that boils down to mindfulness, right? That's a whole nother show, right? I think that boils down to mindfulness. You said something just now, and I wanted to ask you something and it went out of my head. So, okay,
Oh,
that
okay.
means it's not necessary. All right, my friend. Thank you for saying that. Take time. It's simple and it doesn't have to be extravagant, right? But it gets to be thoughtful so that it's engaging, right? Because
Mhm.
you want them to get engaged. Oh, I remember what I was going to ask you. You know, I gotta tell you, the guy Jared from Trinidad, I think you said it was. I think I know him, and I think I know him from LinkedIn. It is weird. The minute you said it, I was like, oh my God. Because I've interacted with him and I've invited him into some of my communities as well, because he's that interesting.
Does he
Like
wear
he's,
yellow?
you think he dark skinned guy? Really, really dark
Uh,
skinned. Do you remember who it?
no,
No?
he's probably just a little darker than me, but he wears yellow
Okay.
all the
Okay.
time.
Okay. Okay. His name just sounds really familiar. And the
Okay.
interaction that you're talking about. All right. So I know you're on LinkedIn. Where else can, by the way, we didn't talk about the other platforms because you're the LinkedIn expert, but are you on, and this is my last question for you. Are you on other platforms, including LinkedIn, or is LinkedIn your only focused platform?
So I am on other platforms, but I don't invest the time. I don't give the other platforms the same attention that I give to LinkedIn.
Okay.
'Cause LinkedIn is, and oh, one of the other myths, LinkedIn is not boring, it's not stuffy. You can be professional without telling all your business, right? But I like LinkedIn because of the trust and security measures that they've put in place. So I feel more comfortable being on LinkedIn. I don't
Okay.
necessarily trust the others
Right.
as much.
Right. Right. Right.
So
Right.
yeah. Mhm.
So what I just heard is there's security on the back end that you can feel confident that people won't steal your identity
Mhm.
and hack
Yes,
your account.
because they have the verification feature. You'll go on some people's profiles and you'll see the little shield with a check mark next to their name.
Yeah,
That means they
yeah,
verified their account through some, formal process. So LinkedIn is really trying to put in the measures in place to weed out, um, fake accounts and scammers and things of that nature.
right, right, cool. All
Mhm.
right, so I love this thing. I told you I was going to bring it up. This is her digital swag, y'all. I mean, like you can, and I'm sure you're going to give me a link to put
Yes, I'll
on the
send you
back of
that.
this. So even though you're on LinkedIn, you can still create this so that when you're live in person, I got this from her from an in-person event, um, and it's super cool. I love it.
Oh, show the other side. Oh, yeah.
Well, I wrote on the back of it, so here.
Oh. But the thought process behind that is it's called the coffee cup challenge. You should be able to do one or two things listed on there within the amount of time it takes you to drink a regular sized cup of coffee, not those with the venti and the super Stanley cups of coffee, just, regular cup.
I want to take a minute. We're almost at time, but I want to take a minute and read them. There's a reason why I want to do this because it's so um, aligned with one of the programs I created, which is a 30-day sprint, and this is all about discipline, right? So is my program. Review notifications and act on them. Review and respond to messages. Comment on 5 relevant posts a day. Keyword search post of first degree connections. We talked about that in this. So if you didn't hear that part, go back and listen. We talked about how to get to the first, second, and third connections. Send one message to an existing connection. That's connection, y'all. Connection. So in my program, you get to do 20 connections per day.
Cool.
She only told you to do one. Okay. Send one message to an existing connection. Send one connection request with a note. That's to somebody new, right? And engage with posts from a prospect's company. Why? I mean, we need to do a whole workshop on this, girl. Um, and then post your own content. These are really strategic, y'all. These are powerful. You'll be surprised how this is part of visibility, right? This is all part of visibility on LinkedIn. Like Tamika said, visibility, LinkedIn is not stuffy, right? When you do these little things, you cause and create visibility so that when you reach out to people, there's a level of connection. People feel like they already know you. Remember, no like trust factor in branding. This is the game. So, if y'all want a workshop on more details of how to interact on LinkedIn and other platforms, put it in the comments and we'll create it for you because I think it's super important. And believe me, I learned too. So, all right, my friend. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your generosity with sharing the information. For those of you who are live in person, thank you for your comments. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for staying the whole time of the show. Let's connect. And Tamika, is there anything else you want to share before we wrap it up?
Um, you know, you can't break LinkedIn. All right. If you feel if you feel some type of way about posting, don't forget you can always edit because I'm telling you, every single post I put out there, there's always a misspelled word, and I always have to go back and fix it. And if you don't like it, delete it. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid.
I love that. I love that. I love that. All right, y'all. That's a wrap for today on the Success Code Fireside Chat. Thank you for being here. Like, subscribe, and share this channel. We bring you all this information for you to grow your business, grow your life, and grow yourself. So go out there and be the most authentic you that's possible. Success on your terms, not anybody else's. And we'll see you next week. Thank you for being here.